And right now, all eyes are on PSG in the Champions League and this quarterfinal clash with Unai Emery's Aston Villa.
Yeah, fascinating matchup, isn't it?
It is. Can Luis Enrique's new tactics finally overcome Unai Emery, a manager known for, I guess you could say, tactical masterclasses?
Absolutely.
So that's what we're going to break down for you today.
Yeah.
We're going to look at PSG's transformation under Luis Enrique. We'll analyze the data and see how much they've improved,
Right.
and then look ahead to this massive match against Aston Villa.
Exactly.
We'll look at the challenges they faced at the start of the season, the changes Luis Enrique made, and some key stats.
Right.
And, of course, the roles of key players like Vitinha and Dembélé.
Absolutely. Can't forget them.
So let's start by rewinding back to the beginning of PSG's Champions League campaign.
Yeah.
It wasn't all smooth sailing, was it?
No, not at all.
That 2-0 defeat to Arsenal back in October, I mean, what did that tell you about their initial approach?
Well, it was pretty clear that the 4-3-3 they started with, the more traditional setup, wasn't really working against the top teams in Europe.
Right.
Arsenal exposed some real weaknesses, especially in midfield and in front of the defense.
Yeah, I saw that too. It felt like they were relying a lot on moments of individual brilliance from the attackers.
Exactly, just hoping for some magic to happen, which, as we know, isn't a sustainable strategy at this level.
No, absolutely not.
So yeah, that Arsenal game was a bit of a wake-up call for Luis Enrique.
Definitely. So how did he respond? What were the key changes he made to fix those weaknesses?
Well, the biggest change, and it was a really smart one, was switching from that sort of fluid attacking style they used last season.
Yeah.
It was almost like a 4-2-4 at times.
Right. Yeah.
Very reliant on individual talent to a more structured 4-3-3.
Okay.
It might seem like a small tweak on paper, but it made a huge difference.
Yeah. How so?
Well, firstly, it gave them much better control in midfield, which is so crucial in those big European games.
Absolutely.
And it also made their counter-pressing much more effective.
Right.
They were winning the ball back higher up the pitch because they were pressing together as a unit.
I see. Yeah.
And maybe most importantly, it brought more fluidity to their attacks.
Okay. Yeah.
Their build-up play was smoother. The movement was more coordinated.
Right. And I guess part of that attacking change was moving Dembélé after Mbappé left for Real Madrid, right?
Exactly.
That was a bold move, wasn't it? Sticking him in that false nine role.
It was, but it's worked out brilliantly.
It has.
Dembélé as a false nine completely changes the way PSG attacks.
How so?
Well, without a traditional striker like Mbappé, it creates different spaces for the other attackers to run into.
I see.
And it makes it much harder for defenders to pick him up.
Yeah.
They don't know who to mark. And it allows Dembélé to use his creativity and dribbling in those central areas where he can really hurt teams.
Yeah, it's like defenses have to solve a whole new puzzle now.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's jump forward to, I think, the turning point of their season. That round of 16 tie against Liverpool.
Oh, yeah, that was massive.
That penalty shootout win, it just felt huge, didn't it?
It did, especially considering Liverpool had won the first leg.
Right.
And they had this incredible record of never going out of Europe after winning the first leg.
Yeah, wow.
So for PSG to come back and win on penalties, it shows just how much they've improved mentally and tactically under Luis Enrique.
Yeah, I mean, Dembélé with that early goal in the second leg to level the tie.
Crucial goal.
And then Donnarumma's saves in the shootout. It was amazing.
Yeah, real moments of quality when it mattered most.
And then against Manchester City, they showed they could adapt their tactics too, right? They weren't just playing one way all the time.
Exactly. That City game was a great example of Luis Enrique's tactical flexibility.
Yeah, how so?
Well, they went with a much more compact defensive shape, a mid-block, to try and stifle City's attack. And it worked really well. It showed that they could be pragmatic and change their approach depending on the opponent.
That's so important in the Champions League, isn't it? Being able to adapt to different styles.
It is. You can't just stick to one game plan and expect to beat the best teams in Europe.
Okay, so we've talked about the tactical changes and the big wins, but what do the numbers tell us? What does the data say about PSG's improvement?
The data is really interesting. It backs up everything we've been seeing on the pitch.
Okay, give me some examples.
Well, in League One, their high pressing efficiency is 85.1%.
Wow, that's high.
It is. It means they're winning the ball back very quickly and very high up the pitch, which is a hallmark of so many top teams these days.
One in the Champions League.
In the Champions League, they're averaging over 60% possession with almost 90% passing accuracy.
That's incredible.
It is. It shows that they're controlling games and dictating the tempo with real precision.
Yeah, and speaking of controlling the game, one player who keeps popping up in our analysis is Vitinha.
Oh, he's been phenomenal.
His stats are off the charts.
They are. I mean, his pass completion rate in the Champions League is over 94%.
94%. That's insane for a central midfielder.
It is, especially in the Champions League where the pressure is so high.
And he's covering over 10 kilometers a game, too.
Yeah, incredible work rate. He's everywhere.
He really is the engine of this PSG team, isn't he?
Absolutely. He makes everything tick.
And what about defensively? Have they improved there, too?
They have, yeah. They're only conceding 0.84 goals per game in the Champions League.
That's a huge improvement.
It is, and when you consider the teams they've played, it shows how much more solid they are at the back.
So all the data, the high pressing, the possession, the defensive solidity, it all points to a team that's really clicking, doesn't it?
It does. They've become a much more complete and adaptable team under Luis Enrique.
All right, so the big question now is, can they keep this up against Aston Villa? What are some of Villa's weaknesses that PSG might be able to exploit?
Well, our analysis shows that Villa can be vulnerable in defensive transitions.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means that when they lose the ball, they can be a bit slow getting back into position, leaving gaps for the opposition to attack.
I see.
They've also had some problems playing out from the back under pressure.
Right.
And their high defensive line, while it can be effective, can also be exploited by quick forwards with runs in behind.
Okay, so how can PSG take advantage of these weaknesses?
Well, with players like Dembélé, they have the pace and creativity to really hurt Villa on the counterattack.
Yeah, if Villa are slow getting back, Dembélé could have a field day.
Exactly, and if PSG can press them high up the pitch when they're trying to play out from the back, they could force mistakes and create chances.
And of course, PSG have the home advantage in the first leg.
Yeah, the Parc des Princes is a tough place to go.
And Dembélé has been on fire in the Champions League, 7 goals already.
He's a real danger man. Villa will need to keep him quiet.
For sure. But we can't forget about Unai Emery, can we? He's a very smart tactician.
Absolutely. He'll have a plan for PSG, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he's known for setting his teams up very well defensively.
He is. Villa will be a tough opponent. They won't roll over for PSG.
Okay, so let's delve a little deeper into those key players we keep talking about, Vitinha and Dembélé.
Yeah.
Let's start with Vitinha. His passing and work rate have been amazing. But how important has he been to this whole tactical shift at PSG?
Oh, he's been absolutely crucial.
In what way?
Well, he's the one who allows PSG to dominate the midfield, which, as we know, is so often the key to winning games at the highest level.
Right.
His passing isn't just about keeping the ball, it's about controlling the tempo of the game, breaking lines with his passes, and linking defense and attack.
Yeah, I've noticed that he always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. And then defensively, his work rate is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He never stops running. He helps PSG maintain their shape out of possession and win the ball back quickly.
He's like the glue that holds the team together.
He really is. He gives the platform for the attacking players to express themselves.
And then there's Dembélé. He's been reborn as a false nine. What's made that switch so successful?
Well, I think it's a combination of his natural talents and the way PSG are playing.
Okay, explain that.
Well, Dembélé is incredibly creative. He's got pace, and he's a fantastic dribbler.
Right.
And playing as a false nine allows him to use all of those skills in the most dangerous areas of the pitch.
Yeah, I've seen him drop in deep to pick up the ball, and then suddenly he's bursting forward into the box.
Exactly. He's very difficult to mark because he's always moving.
And he's scoring goals, too. 7 in the Champions League so far.
Yeah, he's become a real threat in front of goal. You could even argue that he's a contender for the Ballon d'Or now.
Wow, that's high praise.
He deserves it. He's been outstanding.
Okay, so to sum up, PSG have been on a real journey this season.
They have.
They've changed their tactics, they've overcome adversity, and they're playing some fantastic football.
Absolutely.
The big question now is, can they handle the pressure of being favorites against Unai Emery's Aston Villa?
That's the test, isn't it? They've got the tactics, the players, and the home advantage, but can they deliver when it matters most?
And this leads me to a final thought for you, the listener.
Okay.
We talk a lot about tactics and data, but why are there still so many surprises in football? Why do underdogs still win big games?
Good question.
Maybe it's because there's more to football than just tactics.
Maybe.
Maybe it's the psychology of the players, the momentum shifts, or just the sheer unpredictability of the game that makes it so exciting.
It's true. You can't always predict what's going to happen in football.
Exactly. So as much as we analyze and break things down, there's always an element of the unknown. And that's what keeps us coming back for more.
Absolutely. The human element is what makes football so special.
Well said. Leave a like if you enjoyed this deep dive and subscribe to the AI Goat podcast for more.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in.